If a house was scored 9 out of 10 for flood risk, would you buy it? For me, assessing a property's flood risk is a critical component to making a property purchase. I don't want to buy a house that's going to flood. Whether it's the bottom level, whether it's the backyard, I really don't want to have the stress or thoughts of buying a property that's in a low-lying area. And I think a lot of Australians are coming to the same realization that whether it's an investment property or whether you're buying your own home, it's just not worth buying a property that's in a floodplain. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a recent article that talks about assessing flood risk. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a view of Logan City Council's interactive flood map that they've recently updated. Home buyers steer clear of properties at extreme flood risk when informed of the threat, altering their property search and bidding for lower risk homes, an international study has found. More buyers are factoring climate change risks into their property decisions, but making risk data more accessible could more quickly shift buyer behaviour. Home buyers who typically looked at properties at extreme risk of flooding altered their property search after being given access to flood risk data. A report by US real estate brokerage Redfin found they went on to bid on homes with 54% less risk on average. Now, what this is saying here is that people who are informed make informed decisions. Sounds crazy to me, but that's exactly what we want to do when you're making a property purchase. You want to understand the flood risk. Where were the previous floods? In Brisbane, for example, 2011 was such a big deal. Everyone goes back to what happened in those floods. Now, with updated flood maps coming from Logan City Council, and you've got access to other councils around Australia, it's important when you're looking at a property purchase to take these few extra steps to assess the risk on a potential deal. The article goes on to say, we're going to see increasing extreme weather events moving forward, and the housing industry and individuals are not prepared for that at all. Homeowners are spending the most amount of money they're ever going to spend in their life on an asset that could potentially have significant issues. This is particularly an interesting topic when you look at Australia's beachside suburbs. What we're seeing along Australia's coastline from weather events is erosion. From the Great Barrier Reef down to Byron Bay, all the way down to Sydney's northern beaches, there's locations which are seeing Australia's coastline erode. Whether it's looking at floodplains or you're looking at coastal erosion, nature has a way of taking no prisoners. So you need to do your research. It could be very expensive for you to build a rock wall in front of your $1 million mansion if you're living on the beachside. But I guess if you're that wealthy, you don't really have any issues with building that rock wall. But for most Australians, like the article said, this is going to be the biggest purchase they make, whether it's your own home or an investment purchase. So you need to understand the potential risks, whether it's flood, fire, or landslide, or erosion that could impact the property. Now, to round this video out, let's show you how you can find Logan City Council's interactive flood mapping and property development hub to do more research on a potential deal. This is going to generally apply to most local government areas, so do the same searches and follow similar steps to find other local councils' information. So what you're going to need to do is jump into Google. I've just typed in flood maps Logan City Council here, and the first thing that pops up on the list is flood mapping disaster dashboard. Click on the link and it will take you through to some further information. Scroll down to the bottom and it will say you can head to Logan Property Developer Hub, or you can head to the flood level report. Now I'm going to jump into the Logan Hub, and it gives you an example here of a property that you could search for. So we're looking at 150 Wembley Road, Logan Central. So let's just search on that. Now we've typed in the address, you can actually click on any of these reports down below. So we're going to look at the flood report. Now this is the updated flood report that Logan City Council is now providing. The information they give you is the old flood hazard overlay from the 2015, and it also gives you the new flood map reports. This address is Logan City's offices, and you can see here that it's not affected by the 2015 flood mapping. And as we scroll down, there's no other information on this property. The other option you have when it comes to looking at the flood mapping is if you don't want to type in the address and look at the flood report, you can actually look at larger areas and see where the flood mapping happens over suburbs. So if you click on interactive mapping, it will take you to the previous address you searched, and then you can zoom out and look at specific areas. Let's just take a look at Waterford as an example. So if we go to the base layers, we're going to look at the overlays for flood mapping. I'm going to click down here and click on flood hazard triggers, and this is going to show you what areas might be impacted by floods. You can also overlay transport and noise corridors. There's lots of options to have different overlays in these council maps, which can be really useful as part of your property research. So let's just select any of these properties within this mapping area, and you can see that this address, Lot 5, RP 110830, in Tickham Park, 19 Lagoon Road in Waterford West, is on an 840 square metre block and could potentially be impacted by flood hazards. You can then jump over, once you've selected that address, you can then jump over to the flood report and look at the flood mapping. So what do you think about flood areas? Are you going to be one of those people that buys in a floodplain because it's going to be the right home and you can get into a great area? Or are you going to be avoiding floods at all costs? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you got any value out of this video or you found it interesting, then make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel down below, and click this video over here for more things real estate, renovating, and financial freedom. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.